In recent years, Lake Mead has faced a plethora of challenges due to prolonged drought conditions in the region, which gradually resulted in declining water levels. To curb the problem, water management and conservation efforts have been implemented to address the decreasing water supply in the reservoir. However, a recent study has discovered something astonishing. Lake Mead is actually filling up. It comes as good news to those who rely solely on Lake Mead for their daily needs. How is Lake Mead, whose water levels have stooped to a record low in recent years, filling up again? Does this mean that there won't be a water shortage for the people who completely rely on it? Let's watch the video and find out. Lake Mead is a vast man-made reservoir situated on the Colorado River in the southwestern United States and serves as an important resource for states like Arizona and Nevada. It was created by the construction of the iconic Hoover Dam built on the Colorado River, and is a main source of water for millions of people and helps them to support agriculture, hydroelectric power generation, and recreation. Regarding the water capacity, Lake Mead is the largest reservoir in the United States. The maximum capacity of Lake Mead, when at full capacity, is approximately 32.14 cubic kilometers of water. This huge capacity is based on the reservoir's design specifications and the elevation level at which the water is considered full. The lake is almost 532 feet deep and is elevated at 1,229 feet above sea level and has a surface area covering 640 square kilometers. States like Arizona, Nevada, California, and some parts of Mexico receive water supply from the lake and can provide sustenance to over 20 million people. Over the years, climate changes, drought, and population increase in water demand have made the dam way below its full storage capacity. In the year 2016, Lake Mead experienced the effects of an ongoing drought that had persisted for several years in the southwestern United States. Water levels had reached an all-time low of 9.328 million acre-feet, which put people on the edge. However, it was nothing compared to what was yet to come. The water levels dropped even lower in June 2021, which was below the previous record of 2016. In May 2022, Lake Mead carried only about 26% of its total capacity. Water has not returned to its former level from the previous drop. The low-level pumps in the reservoir were constructed in 2020 as an effort to address the issue of declining water levels and to ensure continued access to water from the reservoir during periods of extreme droughts. The Southern Nevada Water Authority spearheaded the project known as Third Straw. This initiative involved the construction of a third intake pipe that would be placed at lower level elevation in Lake Mead. By installing the new intake pipe at a lower level, the hope was to access water even if the lake's water levels dropped significantly. The installation was completed in the year of 2022. Most boat passageways were closed and others were restricted to small, shallow vessels. When the lake's water level fell below 1,075 feet, a shortage condition was expected to be declared by the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation. This resulted in the cutting short of water supply to downstream areas of the lake. Early 2023 saw high snowpack levels in the area surrounding the lake, which proved to be an advantage. The month of April is when the snowpacks reach their peak level. This happens when the rising temperatures during springtime melt the accumulated snow faster than the new snow can gather. When the snow melts, it's expected to flow into the Colorado River, which is the source of Lake Mead, increasing the flow to about 177% of the usual. This has established new records compared to recent years. In some areas, it's even exceeded the levels recorded when the lake overflowed in 1983, which caused the Glen Canyon and the Hoover Dam to spill. Some researchers exclaim that snow levels haven't increased to a great extent in recent years, but 2023 has been different so far. Las Vegas has welcomed the season of spring and the temperatures are rising and has almost reached 100° Fahrenheit in recent forecasts. However, the high snow levels are not going to last long. It's slowly disappearing. A high-flow experiment was carried out at Lake Mead in order to increase the water levels. The water is planned to be directed along the river system touching Pierce Ferry and increasing the water flow into Lake Mead. This experiment had a positive result. It could be seen that the Lake Mead rose by 1 foot and the experiment is still in progress. The water levels are expected to rise higher by up to 3 feet compared to the previous months. Lake Powell, which is upstream from Lake Mead, has seen an increase in its water level measuring over 5 feet. The United States Bureau of Reclamation didn't expect such an increase as they had already predicted that the water levels would only drop lower in 2023. However, a recent 24-month study by the USBR predicts that by October 1st of 2023, Lake Mead would rise up to 22 feet. And on the other hand, Lake Powell is expected to have risen by a shocking 50 feet on the same date. Even though this comes as very happy news to the people who rely solely on Lake Mead, you should know that Lake Mead is still 160 feet from reaching its full capacity. On the other hand, Lake Powell is nearly 100 feet from being at its full capacity. This means that Lake Mead won't be overflowing anytime soon like it did in the year 1983. Modern-day scientists are thinking of preparing a new draft of a compact. However, they're confused as they still can't get the data right. No matter what these studies say, nature will have its own way. Did you know that the Basin Bend and the Colorado River Basin are undergoing changes too? Lake Mead is not the only river stealing the limelight. It seems that the basin states such as Arizona, California, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming have been responsible for devising plans to reduce their water usage according to the USBR guidelines. However, Arizona has decided to make some special plans. A certain news report states that Arizona's Attorney General Chris Mays had the drill permits for the Saudi Arabia alfalfa farm revoked. These drill permits mean that 2 new deep water wells will pump gallons of water per minute. Now this comes as a shock to the Attorney General because the state must be preserving its water in these crucial times. Tucson is a city in Arizona that has reached an agreement with the government to leave their usual water allotment received from the Central Arizona Project in Lake Mead for a year. This means that nearly 50,000 acre-feet of water will be let out in 2023 and nearly 30,000 feet in 2024 and 2025, which is estimated to be a total of 110 acre-feet. Tucson would also receive compensation from the USBR for leaving the water in the lake. The amount of compensation that will be provided at Tucson is yet to be disclosed. Nevada's lawmakers, on the other hand, are considering their first ever legislation that allows the water manager's authority to limit the water available to citizens for residential use. Nevada will become the first state in the U.S. to let its water agency, Southern Nevada Water Authority, control the water used in residences that house single families that use more than half an acre-foot of water only if the bill gets passed. Even though this bill has raised a lot of controversies, it seems that it's important to regulate water use for a better future. This means that even legal actions can be taken to constrain excessive water use. However, California doesn't seem to give heed to any of such bills, and the farmers in California even defend their water rights. Not much is being done to curb the situation. The farmers are not happy about these legislations, and the situation is so dire that not even the local channels have the guts to report such affairs. However, the California farmers have a reason for such a take. The region gets only less than 2 inches of rainfall per year, which is not enough. They're able to cultivate only because of the water supply from the Colorado River. If there is no such water source, California would turn into a desert. In 2026, the 100-year-old compact regarding the allocation of water rights signed in 1922 will expire. The basin states haven't reached an agreement yet, and the federal government might not wait for their opinion any longer. In case no resolution is reached and the water usage continues, they'll be releasing their proposals to prepare for the worst-case scenario. A plan was proposed to sidestep the Glen Canyon Dam, which means that the Colorado River flow through the Glen Canyon Dam would be restored to its natural level. This would affect Lake Powell by diminishing its water into just a tiny pool. If the bypass succeeds, Lake Mead will become the only primary reservoir in the Southwest. This means that the water managers won't be worried about maintaining the water levels in 2 reservoirs in order to generate electricity. Now that Lake Mead is finally recovering from its past and getting increased water flow, continuous water use is still a problem that needs to be tackled. Will the basin states reach an agreement before the expiration date of the River Compact? Is the USBR right for sidestepping Glen Canyon Dam? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.